Now that the War Within Season 1 is finally underway, man, these healer distributions are so crazy. So, what we're going to be talking about today is the healer meta. I know a lot of people don't like this term, myself included. I think it's thrown around way too much. But what we're going to be talking about is the very top end of content that we're seeing. So, like the Race World First. Also, we're going to look at some of the top logs in rating and Mythic Plus. And I just want to showcase how drastic and how large the gap is from the top healing specs right now to the ones below it. Now, I don't want there to be widespread panic from this video, or maybe people swapping off their mains to swapping to one of these two classes that we're going to be talking about. That's not what I want, because my intention for this video is actually to just draw attention to it if you aren't already aware. I'm sure most of us are, but also to kind of ease your mind, because I know a lot of people who aren't aware, or maybe this is their first season, the War Within is their first tier, you might not know how to react to this information. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. And I have a couple different tabs open that I'll be like swapping between, but we're going to be talking about the top healers right now. And there's kind of two top dogs. Now, in Raid, I'm sure you've probably seen it, but Evokers are performing even better than expected. And we were expecting them to be top dogs, like huge HPS throughput machines. But it's to the point where the other HPS healers, like your Mistweaver monks, ones where they only bring HPS, that's kind of all they bring to a raid, and Resto Druids alike, they are just not even being looked at right now in the top end, the bleeding edge guilds, because Evokers are so beyond, honestly, broken at this point that they can just do so much healing. Now, I have this kind of pulled up just to showcase some of the comps that we're seeing in the Race World First, and most of it is just purely off the back of the strength of Prez Evoker. I haven't really seen any of the guilds or either of the top three guilds drop below two Prez Evokers at any one point. Maybe they have for a few pulls or maybe even a kill and it's slipped past me. But for the most part, we've been seeing 3 heals, 4 heals, even in this fight, 5 heals. This is the only fight that I've seen go beyond 4 heals. But the fact is that they have been able to get away with just taking 2 Evokers plus a third healer. Sometimes it was a Resto Shaman or a Holy Priest, or both a Resto Shaman and a Holy Priest. In this case, it was also a Holy Paladin. And the 2 Evokers can just dunk on the content. And we've even seen discussions, or at least while I've been watching the Race World First, I've heard discussions between the healers and like Max, or the healers and each other. Hey, should we drop an Evoker on this fight? Because this fight is very bad for Evokers. For example, the Princess fight they were saying we're always so spread, we're just losing value on our Evokers. And they're like, no, dude, like it is so broken, it does so much healing. Let's stay at 2 Evokers. Now, if you're not super convinced, this wasn't meant to convince you that Evoker is like actually broken right now. If this doesn't do the job, I also have the top logs on, I don't even know what fight this is, Rashanan, the one that we were just looking at where they were 5 healing. And oh my word, 2.1 million HPS. This guy named Cider just absolutely destroyed the HPS of this. 2 million HPS. Think about that for a second. That is unreal, absurd amount of healing. And then you just scroll down and it is green for days. I mean, like, insane. Dang, these Holy Paladin. Hey, this guy used to be in my guild. Shout outs to Pel and all. Good stuff, dude. But yeah, dude, Evokers are absolutely slamming the HPS meters to like broken capacities. The ramp that they're able to do is just unlike any ramp we've seen before. The engulf popping the Dream Breath hot, it's just doing so much healing. So that's rating. Rating is kind of just, it's a one pony race, a one horse race right now, at the top end. And obviously that does trickle down into probably your guilds, my guilds, where people are probably going to be swapping off of their longtime mains. I know my guild's longtime Holy Priest actually just swapped to Prez Evoker. I never thought I'd see this person swap, but this is just how the meta works. Things are displayed at the top end because they kind of have to min max to the umpteenth capacity. and it just trickles down into our guilds and our keys and stuff like that. So that is probably why you're seeing a lot more evokers, or hearing a lot about evokers, because they just can pump out so much healing that it's making other specs that can't compete just look obsolete, even though we aren't. Now, what does it look like on the Mythic Plus side? I know we've harped on evokers. What does the Mythic Plus side look like? Well, it's a very similar story, just with a different ending. So you scroll down here, you see a lot of blue in the healer category. And one thing that's different here, back when I was showing you the evokers, all of them, you can see all of them are running the engulf build. They're all on Flame Shaper, just popping those hots, going crazy with it. Every single one of them is running a very similar build. But the difference is, with Shaman, both of their hero talent trees are very solid. Maybe one is better than the other. I know Greg, which is on Dorky's team, this push group, he has been showing that he prefers Totemic Shaman. I guess I can click and show you. You see there, he's running Totemic. Whereas some of the other ones, like I know this Rain guy, let me scroll down and find him. Rain on, he is running, or they are running Farseer. So there's so much diversity within Resto Shaman, and to show that multiple different builds and playstyles of Resto Shaman can compete at the top end just shows the depth of this class and the strength and versatility of this class. Now, Resto Shaman has always been the utility Swiss Army knife, and there have been seasons in the past where their utility lines up very well versus the required utility of the dungeon. So, for example, Poison Cleansing Totem is seeing a ton of value. Tremor Totem is seeing a ton of value. A Curse Dispel is seeing a ton of value. And you lump all of that plus much, much more into one spec, it's going to look very desirable. And then on top of all of that, they have absurd throughput and 5-man content that just makes them a very well-rounded and trustworthy healer, and that's why a lot of these top push groups are opting for a Resto Shaman right now. Now, there is one Mistweaver Monk, Ortimus, putting up the good fight, showing in the top 40, so shout outs to them. But other than that, it's just all Shamans and like a few Prez Evokers at the top. Now, why am I showing you this? Why are we even talking about what's just dominating the, quote, meta right now? The whole purpose of this video was, one, to showcase. We're done with that. We're done with the showcasing phase of this video. But I really want to talk about this phase, this portion of time in a tier when the Race to World First is close to wrapping up. Spoiler alert, they're on the last boss now, but it's getting close to wrapping up. Things are broken. Things like Preservation Evoker is broken, but we're in this phase where things are clearly unbalanced. There are some healers that are outperforming others. The same is said for DPS and tanks and everything. But this always happens with Race to World First. If something is clearly like disgustingly broken, Blizzard might step in and kind of tweak it. And they have been. They've kind of kept their eye on Evoker for sure. But they aren't going to do these giant sweeping overhauling changes, because they notice that these Race to World First guilds, like, they would not be where they're at in the Race to World First if Evoker wasn't this broken, if they weren't this strong in a raid environment. They would have to go back, and if they did tweak or adjust or nerf Preservation Evoker in some capacity, they would then have to go back and nerf every single boss that they've killed so far to kind of compensate for that, make it doable without that broken double Evoker core that we're seeing. So why is that important? Why does the Race to World First affect us, like myself, even someone who doesn't play any of these specs that's worried about getting nerfed? Well, that's where the reasoning of this video comes in. You should not panic. If you are maining one of these specs, you're probably going to get nerfed in the near future. But if you're not maining one of these specs, if you're on a Resto Druid or a Mistweaver Monk like us, for example, you should not panic. This is not what the rest of the tier is going to look like. Yes, these two might stay dominant to some capacity, but it won't be this crippling, dominance that we're seeing currently. Things are going to change, but at this point in the season, right as this final boss in the Race to World First starts to fall over, the second guild, maybe the third guild kills it, then we can look to see for big sweeping balance changes, but they're just not going to come right now. They're not going to come in and change the entire game, alter the meta, quote unquote. They're not going to do that right now, but they are ready to do so after this race finishes. So I hope that that alone kind of eases some of you guys who have been watching me for a while, who know that I don't care for the idea of a meta. I'm not really one of the people that pushes that concept. I hope that that eases your mind, because that I'm not saying that, oh, this is the meta, hey, everyone swap to it. I'm really saying, hey, this is the meta currently. Let's wait it out, wait out the Race to World first, and then we're going to see some changes. We might still see something similar to like 10.1.7, where Paladins had this dominance over both forms of content. Sure, they might let them stay kind of at the top. Like I said, Resto Shaman just has so much utility. Prez Evoker is doing so much HPS that they might still do close to this HPS, but you can expect to see some of the bottom end healers, the lower performers, like, I don't know, the other ones that we haven't mentioned, you might expect them to get some slight tweaks, like some 3% overall healing buffs, or like, oh, this talent's going to change. That will come. But for those of us who are currently not playing one of these OP specs, we just have to kind of wait it out. It's just a natural occurrence. This is what happens in the Race World first, and the moment that this content falls over, you can expect some of those changes. But isn't this like crazy though? I mean, this is dominance. I don't know when the last time we've seen this much dominance from one healer. I mean, people were saying it about Mistweaver throughout like Shadowlands and Dragonflight when they were really strong. They were like, man, they're so strong. I remember that just as a Mistweaver player, but I don't remember it being this crazy. I mean, two evokers not willing to change the comp because they're that broken. When's the last time you've seen one healer dominate this much in Raid or in Mythic Plus? Let me know in the comments below. You guys know that I started pretty semi-recently, so I'm sure there are some times that I missed where like Druid, like people were going like 4 Druids in Raid, something like that. What was that time? And send me a VOD because I want to watch that. That sounds pretty cool, actually. I'm sure it wasn't at the time. Just like right now, a lot of people are kind of frustrated with the meta, but hopefully this video kind of eased that in you. And also, look, just because these flavor of the month, like crazy good specs are performing very well, you'll still see some non-flavor of the month specs perform well. Let your skill be the expression. Don't let your spec be the expression, or else you'll just kind of blend in with all of these other flavor of the month rollers. And if you are someone who swapped one of these flavor of the months, hopefully you're anticipating a nerf. Hopefully it's not that bad when it finally hits. But also hopefully you're also one of these people at the top, because it would be cool to see one of my viewers up here on the leaderboards. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. I kind of just wanted to make it because it is so like I have to talk about this, right? Am I crazy? I feel like I have to talk about this, but anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. I want to give a special shout out to the patrons of this channel, because you guys are keeping this channel alive. Thank you so much for all the support that you guys have given me. Also on the stream, you guys are being amazing lately. You're making my stream so much fun, so thank you for coming in and hanging out with me on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays on both Twitch and YouTube. Same name, LBNinja7. Guys, that's going to do it for this one. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care.